10 minutes.
ஓகே. ஆங்கிலம் இவ்வுலகின் வணிக மொழி, சமஸ்கிருதம் இவ்வுலகின் வேதமொழி, உருது இவ்வுலகின் கவிதை மொழி. ஆனால் இவ்வுலகில் உள்ள அத்தனை மொழிகளுக்கும் தாய்மொழியாக விளங்கியது கல் தோன்றி மண் தோன்றா காலத்தே முன் தோன்றிய மூத்த மொழி, நம் அனைவரின் தாய்மொழி தமிழ் மொழிக்கு என் முதல் வணக்கம். As advised by Doctor, I am following this further in English. See, our Tamil language has united all of us in this great historical event of World Tamil Economic Conference, which is being held in this land where the first human being is thought to have evolved. I'd like to specially thank our ex-MP, Mr. Aragiri, and Dr. Sampak for having invited me to this conference and for giving me an opportunity to meet with you, all of you, and to share with you some of my knowledge about Indonesia and doing business with Indonesia. To introduce myself, I am a nuclear physicist and turned management and finance professional, and studied in Guindy, Chennai, and worked in Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Colaba, Bombay as a scientist. I was in charge of a cosmic ray research project which was carried out between TAFR and the world famous research institute CERN, Switzerland. And from there, later I moved to Indonesia. For the last 22 years, I've been living in Indonesia, and I've been associated. I'm very proud to be associated with Mr. Srinivasan, the founder of Texmaco Group of companies for the past 22 years. Is one of the largest business conglomerate in Indonesia, which was developed by a person of Indian origin, which is considered to be one of the largest business conglomerate in Indonesia. Well, coming to Indonesia, talk about Indonesia. Indonesia is a country with 17,000 islands, and of course, we have to mention also with the 300 volcanoes. It's the fourth largest populated country in the world, next to China, India, and America. And it's a country with largest Muslim population, maybe around 87% of the population are Muslims. It has got a largest land area of 2 million square meters, and it takes approximately 14 hours to fly from one end of Indonesia to other end. So that's a kind of a landmass. And 50% of the Indonesian population is below the age of 30, which means we have abundant manpower availability, and 130 million middle-class population living in Indonesia, which means it's a very good consumer base in Indonesia. Surprisingly, one fact which many of you may not be knowing, Indonesia is the fourth largest Hindu population in the world. So maybe India, maybe 92 or 93%. Next, maybe Nepal and Bangladesh. After that, the fourth largest Hindus are living in Indonesia, and 85% of Balinese are Hindus. So, talking a little bit more about the culture of Indonesia, Indonesia still today exhibits a very strong cultural influence of 1,500 years of Hindu and Tamil kings' rule. For example, Lord Ganesha worship entered Indonesia as early as the 1st century, whereas the Ganesha worship came to South India maybe around 6th century, if I'm not wrong, from the north. This could be the reason why Indonesia, which is the largest Muslim populated country, is having Ganesha in the 20,000 currency notes. Indonesia has got one state-owned university, which is called Institute of Technology Bandung. It's a premier institute. The emblem of this institute is Ganesha. So Ramayana, actually, in addition to that, talking about other things, similarly, Ramayana was translated in Indonesian Kavi language of Java in the year 870 AD, which was several centuries before even our Kamba Ramayana was translated from Sanskrit to Tamil in 1200 AD. So this is the strong history of Indonesia. And not only that, Indonesia, we can see the cultural influence of Hindu kings. In language of the country, maybe around 30% of the learned words are from Sanskrit and from Tamil, Indonesian Malay word. Malay, which is spoken in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. And you can see in language, culture, customs, naming everywhere. So for example, in the naming, the most popular name in Indonesia is Hendra. Hendra is nothing but Rajendra Cholan. And the most popular female name in Indonesia is Devi. And coming to that naming convention, one more interesting thing, you know that all of you must know Sukarno. He is one of the first independent Indonesia president who had a very close ties and relations with Jawaharlal Nehru. And they together had a non-alignment, a lot of other, we can see in the museums, both in India and as well as in Indonesia, about the relations between them. So Sukarno, his father named him as Sukarno because his father was an admirer of, Karnan. And why Sukarno? Su means good. His father did not like Karnan when he took a different side in the war. Only some act of Karnan he did not like. See, he wanted him to be Karnan, but a good Karnan. So he named him as Sukarno, Sukarnan, which again turned into Sukarno. So similarly, we can talk more about these interesting influence of culture. However, our more focus now is on how the Tamils came and what are the business opportunities in Indonesia. Well, Tamils were brought to Sumatra Island of Indonesia like any other Southeast Asian countries, like which we have discussed here, including Africa, etc. The British brought them as plantation workers. Of course, when they brought, they didn't say they are being brought to Indonesia because no one was willing to come. They were all sold, they'll be taken to Malaysia. So, and then several ships were brought to Indonesia. And then the people lived there in the plantation and they developed the country as well. And later on, during the Japanese occupation and during the World Wars, several of them left Indonesia. They went back. And today, what we have, the Indian population is just 30,000. They are living in a city called Medan in Sumatra Island of Indonesia. And then a handful of people, like say 5,000 people living in Jakarta and neighboring areas. And that's what is the status of Tamils today there. And it's almost similar to, status is similar to Africa and any other country. Their face look like Tamilian. The rest, maybe they can pick up a few, 4 or 5 words, ane, this, that, 4 or 5 words, that's it. Remaining all, they are by food, Indonesians, by culture, by everything, they are totally Indonesianized. It's all due to the policies. They don't have Tamil schools there and no Tamil magazines. So it's all the same story which extends for so many other Southeast Asian countries. Let us get into, we are short of time, getting into the business, the key point where we are talking about now. Say Indonesia, the economy of Indonesia is based on commodities. More than 60% of the income comes from commodities. Indonesia produces and exports more than 50% of world production of palm oil, and more than 10% of global production of rice and cocoa, and around 30% of rubber production, is the second largest rubber producer in the world. An abundant availability of minerals, nickel, copper, bauxite, iron ore, and gold. They are available in plenty in Indonesia. Indonesia is being the largest rainforest. We also have a huge quantity of pulp and paper and wooden products. Hence, there is a huge opportunity and potential for trading with commodities with Indonesia. Indonesian government is rolling out several infrastructure projects, which has opened up a lot of opportunities for the private sector to get involved and to get benefited. Some of them are Indonesia, the project has already started. We are looking at implementation of 35 gigawatt of power generation, mostly thermal. So it's a very, very interesting fact, because most of the global countries are slowing down on thermal, new projects on thermal, all because of Kyoto Protocol and France, the conference and the CO2 emission control and global warming. They're all bringing down the implementation of thermal power projects, whereas because of abundant availability of coal and other resources, Indonesia is still going ahead with some of the new thermal projects. So we have 35 megawatt of thermal projects coming up in Indonesia, and we are constructing 24 new seaports. And the construction of 6,000 kilometer toll roads worth of $37 billion project is on the way, and 5 new airports are being constructed, an MRT project, and few seconds now, and high-speed railway project, they are all on the way. Okay, now coming back to, we'll not go into more of these government projects. We'll get into what are the projects we can get into from outside Indonesia. What are the projects you can invest? Number one, Indonesia has been so far very closed economy. Many businesses were restricted only to the locals. Now, recently, in this year, Indonesia has opened up pharmaceutical manufacturing, which is a very, very excellent business within Indonesia, high margin business, which is now opened up for 100% FDI investment. And e-commerce and e-marketplace has been opened up for foreign investors. Film production and distribution has been opened up, which is good for Indians to invest there. And tourism, especially restaurants and bars, have been opened up for foreigners, and transport, logistics, etc. So these are the new avenues which has opened up recently for foreigners to invest and get benefited in the booming market there. Okay, so now I have to thank you very much for the opportunity given, and thank you very much for all of you being present from all over this world. Thank you.